This is all tying back into what we've been discussing so far. Money, systems, capitalism, why everything feels like it controls you. Human nature. I read this book by Robert Greene called The Laws of Human Nature. Not only did it give me more insight into myself, it gave me more insight into humanity as a whole. A lot of people think the system is broken. What if it's not necessarily broken? What if it's operating exactly the way it was designed to, based on how humans are wired to behave? Anytime something doesn't work in our favor, we tend to look outward for explanation or to place blame or to even make excuses. This is called external attribution bias. Humans naturally blame systems, people, or circumstances before themselves. It's easier to blame the system than to analyze it. Or, better yet, to analyze your own behavior inside of it. We have a tendency to create villains where none exists. We are notoriously adept at pattern recognition. It's what helped us survive when we were nothing but cave dwellers without all this technology. It may look like humanity has grown, but we are still a very young species. Our technology is insane compared to our evolution status as a species. This is proven fact. Neuroscience, psychology, and biology. There are some outliers, there are some differences, but the majority of humanity operates the same way. Here's something a lot of people don't realize. Your brain isn't designed to find truth. It's designed to keep you alive. If a narrative, no matter how absurd it is, far-fetched, mythical, if the brain decides that believing in that story, that truth, keeps itself alive, it's going to latch on to it. I was talking to a friend the other day about the whole Pooh Shiesty, Gucci Mane situation. And everybody's like, he made a stupid decision, that boy dumb as hell. And shit, from the outside looking in, to most of us, it would seem like a foolish decision. But me, on the other side of that, I'm like, it just proves how strong identity and narratives can be and how much they can outweigh logic in decision making. He identified as a street nigga, a gangster. So to him, it made perfect sense to do what he did. That's just a real world example of how human nature works. Even in the Robert Greene book, he uses examples from across history, different timelines, different time periods, just to even drive further the point home that we have not changed very much over the years. The brain prioritizes for safety, familiarity, and efficiency. For example, the amygdala is used to detect fear, produces stress reactions, fight or flight reactions in certain situations. Dopamine drives reward-seeking behavior. These are very old systems inside of our brain. Sometimes we don't think logically. We think biologically. We are reactionary as a species. And then later on down the line, when something breaks or something falls apart, then you become precautionary as a whole. Leadership tries to regulate certain things or implement new laws or de-incentivize people from doing something else. All of that means is that every system designed on Earth, capitalism, socialism, democracy, republic democracy, monarchy, classism, caste system, theology, all the ologies, it boils down to a core. There are humans involved in these systems. Humans are imperfect, and we are on a evolutionary scale very young. So those systems will be imperfect and they will break. Even the best of us, given the right incentive, can do things one may consider immoral or unethical. You yourself may not know what that incentive is because it may not have been presented to you yet in the right form. A lot of us like to imagine what we would or would not do in a certain situation that we've not been faced with before. And oftentimes what we think we would do could not be more further from the truth. Even someone like me, who has a very deep understanding of myself, cannot predict what incentives I may be faced with and what choices I have to make as I continue down this road. And it's uncomfortable for most people to sit with because that means that you are capable of things you think yourself not capable of, good and bad. It's human nature. Most people choose comfort over reality. Why is that? One, the brain would much rather conserve energy for cognitive efficiency. I'm using these words and these terms to show you that the more you understand how the brain works and the psychology of yourself and others, you can get far in life. Life will seem a lot less difficult. Now, that don't mean that everything will be easy, but life will seem a lot less difficult to maneuver. You'll stop believing false narratives so easily. That don't mean that you won't fall victim to some. No one is immune to propaganda. Habits form because the brain likes to reduce effort. Familiar patterns feel safe even if they're harmful. I'm sure some of you have even heard of this, why people stay in abusive relationships. Because the toxicity becomes familiar. It feels safe. It's not that they're stupid or dumb or just a glutton for punishment. Some people are. They have terms for those type of things. We can discuss that on a different video or something. But in those toxic situations, when leaving that situation and what comes next is so uncertain, they're used to it. They can expect the patterns. Shit becomes predictable. Even over time, pain can be less painful as the body gets used to it. The human brain is amazing. They stay. And she may be getting her ass beat. He may be getting taken for everything that he got. But he's so used to the emotional abuse. She's so used to the physical and emotional abuse. The brain is like, why leave? It's safe here. Something else may be worse. I don't know if anything could be better. And that can be a hard pattern for people to break. To build on top of that, self-preservation must always come first. You've heard this before. It's survival. That's why on the plane, they say, should this mug go down and the mask drop, put on yours first, then help your neighbor. Because you can't help nobody if your oxygen gone. Humanity is one of the only species on this planet who can override that survival instinct. That'll throw themselves into dangerous situations to help another. It has been recorded among other species and other animals on the planet, but humans are one of the only ones that can choose to put themselves in harm's way to save another life, even another species' life. Resource accumulation. This is the self-interest part of human nature. We want resources. Money is a resource. Food as a resource. Vehicle, resources. We want resources in abundance. The resource gives you access to comfort. Comfort is what the brain needs to feel safe. Safety means that the brain is survival, so on and so forth. Protection of self and tribe. Now here's where it gets a little crazy. We wonder why we see an insane amount of disproportionate wealth, inequality, homelessness, hunger, etc. Scale. We are still tribal by nature. When you start to scale into populations of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, hundreds of millions, billions even, the brain goes, am I still safe with this? So people find a tribe, they protect that tribe. Resource hoarding occurs, it's just a repeat cycle. That's where things like greed, competition, and ambition come from. They're not inventions, they're an extension of survival. And these are just terms that we've given them to be able to explain the behaviors that we see. Take all of that fear, desire, self-interest, comfort seeking, and put it inside a system. What do you think happens? Systems don't create behavior, they amplify it, expose it. That goes for all of them. It doesn't matter what you choose. The best thing that we can do, and I'll say this until my face turns blue, is learn, adapt, and find human agency within systems that we cannot directly change. Unless you can get a large collection of people to agree on a unified goal for more than 5 fucking seconds. That's the start. What do you replace that system with? How bad will the trade-offs be? Who has the potential to be left out? And a whole slew of other shit. This system is older than most of us. Most of them are. If it were so incredibly horrid and just made from a place of pure malicious control, then we wouldn't have programs like OSHA or agencies. We wouldn't have a need for law enforcement. We wouldn't have select chosen individuals who would much rather order than chaos and don't want to see humanity give in to our inevitable fall to entropy. Because while we may create and innovate, we are some destructive sons of bitches. The systems that we argue about online and say, oh, it should be this, it should be that. What should happen is not what actually is in most cases. Find your own agency and autonomy within it. It organizes, it rewards it, and it amplifies behavior. This is why every system eventually shows its flaws. Not necessarily because it's poorly designed, it depends on human behavior staying balanced. And human behavior doesn't stay balanced. Even if you get a collection of 500 people that say, oh yeah, we're gonna follow the same rules, at least 100 of them is gonna double back within that same day. So when people say the system is broken, all they're saying is human nature play out at scale. You can't control the system, but you can understand how to operate within it. And I'll leave you with this. Until you understand your own behavior, you'll keep blaming the system. They're just reflections of you. Remember, you'll always find value here. I encourage you to drop by. Subscribe to Reality.